And welcome back to the second part of What If Deku had a time release Kekkei Genkai. I told you I was going to come tomorrow. I just hope that you enjoy the last one. I did this all in advance, like I said, so I don't really know yet, but I'm hoping that you'll enjoy this. This is the part where things go a little crazy. I'm gonna up Deku's powers up a little bit. Hope you enjoy. Get some popcorn, get all that, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all my future videos. And so, without any further ado, let's begin. The last part introduced Deku as a much more rowdy, individualistic boy who always thought about dominating and fighting. So when he first got his time quirk, he and Bakugo fought, and he beat him, but the two never got along from that day on, and he won with minor injuries. And then years passed, with the two honing their skills until they came to UA. They would meet at the exams where they take a written exam before taking the practical one. Deku saves Uraraka, but for a much more different reason in this timeline. He doesn't fight the zero-pointer and gets to safety with Uraraka, and she is soon healed. Then when UA's first day came, Deku went, met his new classmates and teacher. He and everyone then had to do a test with the risk of being expelled put in, and they did everything well. The next day the gang would then participate in a trial set by All Might, and in it Deku and Bakugo fought hard, but Deku unveiled some new tricks and some tools and beat him. He would then help Uraraka get the bomb, and the next day an incident occurred, making Ida step up as class president to take care of it, and so he earns the role and keeps it. Then the next day went on with the USJ and the villains attack, and 1A split up. Deku was put in a forced area, and after beating some villains he finds Sue and Mineta. They get out, go fight some other villains to help Aizawa, but Deku fails to get Shigaraki, who was not protected by the Nomu, and Deku manages to escape though, and he and Aizawa go back and forth with the Nomu, unable to beat it until Deku finds a weak point and lands one hit and rips off his arm. However, this doesn't stop it from attacking, and it is met by All Might when he tries to, and he will then take it out. Other heroes then arrive along with some ambulance and reporters. Now we're going to actually begin the story. We begin this with Shigaraki being thrown out of the portal and into the bar as he would be writhing in anger. Who the hell was that brat? Eraserhead I can understand, but that little shit was hurting Nomu. The voice of All For One is then heard as he asks what happened, and Shigaraki explains it all, before then saying, "You were wrong, Master. The symbol is not dying." "Not true," said All For One. "We simply got ahead of ourselves." "What of the Nomu?" "He was sent flying past the stratosphere. It's almost impossible to retrieve him. The heroes might have already gotten to it. We simply didn't have time," said Kurogiri. And you said someone hurt the Nomu other than All Might. Who?" "It may be Izuku Midoriya. He possesses the ability to control time. He was quite formidable," said Kurogiri. 2 days then passed as Deku was given time to recover from his little fight, and he does recover much faster than normal, and he and everyone go back to UA and are told about the UA Sports Festival. "Should we really be doing that when we were just attacked by villains?" asked Koda. "I understand your worry, but this is also UA's way of showing its confidence. Also, security will be quadrupled," said Aizawa. "And we get scattered by heroes. We can't just not join in," said Deku. "Yeah, right. You just want to fight, don't you?" said Kaminari. And Deku says there's nothing wrong with that, is there? "I don't really care. Just don't fall behind. You show me what you can do when you're all under stress. So I would not expect anything else than the best," said Aizawa. With determined looks, the students say of course, and then class continues. Right after their class with Cementos, after they get past with Aizawa, everyone gathers and talks about how excited they are. And Uraraka in particular seems very excited, so as Deku and Ida come with her to lunch, she tells them that she wants to be a hero for money when Ida asks, which she is embarrassed by. "Do not be. It is perfectly fine to be financially stable. Right, Midoriya?" I don't really care what you want to be a hero for, as long as you win. It makes things boring if you came this far just to give up, right?" said Deku. These words invigorate Uraraka, who agrees, and like yelling in the class before, she said that she would do her best. Then they go have lunch, and after returning, they continue their classes until it came time to leave. But they find their door blocked by some students, a horde of them. Some are confused as to why this is happening, and wonder why this is happening at all. But Deku will just tell them to get out of his way. "I don't have time for you." "It's him, right? The guy who took down the villains with a smile?" "Oh, you heard of me," said Deku, as he activates his Jogan, asking if they want to end up like those villains, and they quickly make way for him, with Ida saying that was a bit harsh, and everyone agrees, but Deku will be who he is. He's kind of an arrogant person. As they makes it down the hallway, Deku then hears someone call for him and turns to see Tetsu, who would say, "Hey, you, don't think you can scare me with empty threats? I'm gonna show you how much you measure up at the exams, this festival," but it's the same thing. And Deku welcomes the challenge, saying that he'd beat him into the dirt. Well, if you even get to me, that is. This leaves Tetsu fuming, but he's gotta admit that this guy is very imposing. And back in the classroom, everyone is met by Shinso's declaration, and this would jumpstart the events. Deku works harder than ever on his the strength energy that he can now emit, and finds that it can act as a shield for him and his body, and when he focuses enough, it empowers him as well. This would be what brings him to a new level of power and also gives him a bunch of tricks he would soon show at the festival. And when the day finally arrived after 2 weeks, all the classes gather in their own waiting room, and as 1A is in there, they're just chilling or being like very nervous, trying to get out of their little trouble, they're trying to calm down. Deku will be stretching and getting ready for what was to come when he's then approached by Todoroki, and he turns to ask what he wants when all the attention then turns to them. And Todoroki would say, in terms of speed, you may have beat me, but in terms of pure power, you're not even compare. The hell you say, said Deku, as he would get mad, and Kirishima tries to intervene, but to no avail, with Deku saying, I don't give a damn what you have, you're not the only one who's been training. I will leave you in the dust. You guys just can't sit down and chill, asked Jiro. Why the hell would we? This is a competition. If you fall behind, you can't blame anyone but yourself, said Deku. As they were then all called out, and putting aside this little conflict occurring in their class, they would head out, and other classes come out as well. The stadium roars at their arrival, but other classes feel envious and angry towards 1A since they are being used as their opening act of sorts, and quickly they are all called to Miss Midnight at the podium. After they are, the crowd would then settle, with Midnight then calling up Deku to make a speech, and with his hands in his pockets, he walks up to the crowd of students, and people will be saying like, he's the #1 pointer guy. Yeah, that guy's on the news. Let's see what he says. I can feel how smug he is. As Deku makes it to the podium, he will clear his throat and say, I'm gonna destroy all of you, but feel free to try and keep up. What the hell is wrong with this guy? And all the classes direct their anger at Deku, who would actually bask in it as he raises his hands to the sky while smiling, and 1A understands what exactly he just did. Well, I can at least respect his one-track mind, said Jiro. He brought all the attention to himself, thought Todoroki. The crowd is enthusiastic by his declaration, saying that while he is a bit arrogant, this kid seems very confident, and considering what happened on the news, he may prove why he truly deserves to be the #1 point getter, like one of the strongest in class. He proceeds to then walk down to the crowd of students and is met by hate, but he says to bring it on until he returns to where he was, and he gets a bit serious, saying, I'm being serious, guys. Go all out. Who do you think you're talking to, said Bakugo, and Tokigami said I was never planning on falling short. The 1A class now sounded reassured and completely lost their nervousness, and they had slowly started to wonder if Deku made the speech just to make them focus more as well. But for now, the first challenge has to be picked. Midnight rolls the roulette and it lands on the obstacle race, and as such they are all led to the gate in the stadium, and the gate opens while they are told to get ready, and everyone gets pumped. Slowly the light signals at the gate will then go, they all get lit up, and then it is announced by President Mike to go. The halls of the tunnel will be filled with students bumping into one another when an explosion of frost then spreads, and out on the other end run out Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku, who will then forge far ahead of the two. And they begin! Midoriya has already taken the lead, said President Mike. Using Chakra to enhance himself, Deku keeps himself about 20 feet ahead despite Todoroki and Bakugo trying to catch up, and they realize what he must have learned from training. Like I said, you got me beat in speed, but it won't last long though, thought Todoroki. The 1A students meanwhile break out of the ice laid out by Todoroki and run out just as the others come to meet a giant zero-pointer. Todoroki takes this chance to freeze the monstrosity, but it will be unstable and comes crashing down, which was his goal, but Bakugo and Deku would jump until they leap over it. And as Deku starts to free fall over him, then blast Todoroki and Bakugo, as Bakugo would say, Ha! Screw you, Deku! Deku with a smile then blasts ahead and catches up with them, while others would have to deal with the zero-point barrier and the other robots in the way. Deku and the two would then reach the fall meanwhile, and Todoroki rides on the rope using his ice trail, while Bakugo and Deku just jump from pillar to pillar, until Todoroki then lands on the ground first and gains the lead, but he is quickly caught up to again, and Bakugo then proceeds to throw a massive explosion at the two, blinding them and pushing them aside, before then going on ahead, only to then be grabbed by the leg and slammed to the ground by Deku, who also kicks away Todoroki. Ooh, that's rough. Midoriya returned that back twofold, and for those of you who are wondering, said President Mike, Midoriya's quirk is called Chrono. This allows him to speed himself up and see moments that will be made before they're even made, and using his Jogan, which is what he has named his ocular ability, the source of all of this also comes, you get what I'm trying to say. I feel like I fucked that up a little bit. He uses his eyes, blah, 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 and he says that the source of all of this has recently been found to come from the energy that he's radiating, and there's a lot more he can do, so you'll have to just wait and watch. Deku will then reach the landmines, and so, while he tries to, go ahead, he dodges from the right when Bakugo blasts at him, and then he dodges to the left, dodging a trail of ice. You snooze, you got caught lacking, said Deku, as he would then trap the two into a kind of, what's it called? Think of it like, Piccolo's Hellzone grenade. He runs past the mines and activates all of them, and he stays unaffected while the two are caught in the crossfire. Then he would enter the stadium and dial down the time. He used to speed himself up, and he would be applauded as he proceeds to wipe off his sweat while enjoying the praise. Midoriya made it back already. What an amazing display, huh? Said President Mike. As Deku waits, he would then see Bakugo and Todoroki running with their hair frazzled as they death stare him, but he would just laugh. From behind them all, then come more kids, and they're running out of breath. And this would also include Uraraka, who would say that was just crazy. Soon, 42 students then make it back and are met by Midnight, who announces only the 42 will pass, and she spins the roulette for the next game and the exam, whatever. And it lands on the Calvary battle as she says, Midoriya, as first place, you will have 10 million points. Just wanted to say it. Instantly, all gazes turn to him, but he returns this with a death stare, but no one else is backing down, which excites Deku. You want the points? You're gonna have to actually get past me, said Deku. Man, he's annoying, but he's definitely dangerous, thought the kids. The match will last 15 minutes. Have fun, Midoriya, said Midnight, and Deku said he would, as things are put into action, and after being instructed, everyone starts to make teams. But as arrogant as he may be, a lot of people came to Deku, and he would then give him a pity stare. Come on, man, just pick someone. You don't have to be such a dick. However, Deku walks past all of them and finds Tokiyami and asks him. He agrees, and Deku asks Mei, who says yes, and the other runner-ups panic a little bit, but then Uraraka came, and Deku accepted her, so this sealed their chances, but they still have Bakugo as an option, and many other people like Todoroki, so they did their best trying to find some people. Eventually, all the teams are picked out, with the leader sitting atop their, the formation, and with their headbands on and holding the points, and they're all outside a little stage, a little line, a little place meant for fighting until Midnight waves her whip and says to begin. Here we go again, said President Mike, and as soon as Deku's team enters, instantly 3 teams come at him, and he would then take something from Mei and burst it with Chakra and imbue it into there along with some time, as he would then throw it, and for example, Tetsu is sent flying off his formation, leaving everyone surprised, but then Hagakure is blown off her formation, and instead of waiting for Deku, Bakugo actually leapt forward, which was very startling, as he would throw an explosion, but it was blocked by Dark Shadow, just as he was hit in the stomach, but what was actually a screwdriver. Yep, Mei just kept giving Deku tools to throw, but as Bakugo almost thuds to the floor, he is caught by Sero and brought back. Bring it on, you bastard, said Deku. Why would you say that, said Uraraka. You knew what you were getting into, Deku would say, and a trail of ice then comes from behind as he warns them, and they all jump, and much to everyone's surprise start to fly due to Mei's babies. They fall back down, and Todoroki's team attacks again, as he freezes all his teammates in ice and freezes their legs, while he tells Kaminari to release lightning. As he does, however, Deku would scream and explode with energy, as he would cover his entire team, and it shatters the ice and wards off the lightning. Didn't expect that, did you, said Deku, as he then grabs and throws a piece of machinery, and Todoroki is hit and blown off the formation. Since when could he do that, asked Kaminari. Since now, buddy, said Deku, as his team then turn around, but as they do, Deku would have his headband actually snapped by Monoma. And this catches everyone's attention, only for Deku to then use his time to speed up and reach, but Monoma copies his powers and goes to dodge. Instantly, though, he becomes dizzy as his nose would explode with blood. Wow, that is some serious damage, said President Mike. He would then explain that Monoma can copy quirks, but it seems that Deku's quirk was too strong for him to handle, and Deku takes back the headband before punching Monoma, while the teams down below wrestle, and Dark Shadow would then actually attack, but Subaraba made a wall of air, only for it to be broken through, and they all ran to the ground. It took me years to get used to the headaches. You think I'm a genius or something, said Deku. As he wipes his nose, Monoma can still feel shaking and just discombobulated, as he thought, how the hell does someone deal with this? The fights then kept going and going until it came to an end, and Deku's team would keep their headbands, but also gain about 1,000 points along with that, and they come out on top and celebrate. The crowd was truly marveling at the skill of these kids, but Deku was still dominating as he said he would. A break was then announced, allowing everyone to get out of their seats, go eat, and the kids also go eat at the canteen, but find that Deku and Todoroki are gone. We find the two under the same tunnel, and Deku would say, I don't want to hear a sappy story, man. Man, you are obnoxious. I thought Bakugo was bad, said Todoroki. I simply want to let you know that this isn't personal. I have a goal. So do I, to beat all of you. Todoroki agrees with his goal, but then also says, asks maybe if he's related to All Might in any way, to which he says of course he's not, because he's trying to beat that guy. Again, I control time, said Deku. I don't know why you became so hung up on beating me specifically, though. This is more than just fighting, isn't it? It's about more than that. Todoroki would then go on to talk about his backstory, which, while surprises Deku, still doesn't change his mind on his goal, but he does feel for Todoroki a little bit. That's all the more reason why I need to crush you, though, because you're a worthy opponent. I haven't showed everything I got, so you go 50% and I'll destroy you. He would then turn and walk out, telling him that they need to go eat and that he can't be on an empty stomach. And Bakugo would have listened to all of this, unintentionally, as Todoroki would become far more set in his ideals. After eating, lots are then picked, and recreational activities are put into action, and the crowd returns to the stadium to watch and have a little fun. Samantha soon will be done with the stage, and as such the first match comes up with Deku walking in with Shinso. The sides of the stage would explode with flames as they are announced to everyone and what the department they hail from, before Midnight then said, and start. Instantly making a hand slide, Deku appears before Shinso just with a boost in Chakra as he would punch him, and he is sent flying off the stage before he crashes into the grass. Well, that was anticlimactic. That kid's just too strong, the crowd be saying. Even Deku was a bit surprised and watched that Shinso stood up despite such a devastating blow, so he jumps down to give him a hand. Which is strange, it's a strange move for Deku, since he's been going all I'm better than all of you. Shinso would angrily smack him away as he starts walking off, with Deku then being announced the winner, and he feels like absolute shit to say the least, but then he hears, "I don't really like you, but coming this far means that your quirk must be pretty impressive, or you're just strong." He turns to see a smiling Deku who says that he's gotta stop sulking and actually listen to what the crowd is saying. Shinso then starts to focus and, while confused, starts to hear his friends from the same department congratulating him and saying he did so well because none of them even made it that far, but he did. This puts a smile on his face as President might then reveal his quirk, but because he had not shown such an antagonizing side of himself, the hero readily admit how useful it would be. He walks out telling Deku to mind his own business, however, saying, "I don't want to be associated with an arrogant genius." Deku will shrug his shoulders, saying it's his loss, but the two then party ways, and the other matches get along, as well as Todoroki going ballistic on Sero with a giant iceberg. Kaminari then fought Shiozaki and lost, Ida fought Mei and won, Kirishima and Tetsu fought, which ended in a tight right before Bakugo fought Uraraka and won, but Uraraka did put up quite a fight. Kirishima and Tetsu resolved their fight with an arm wrestle, which Kirishima wins, and then comes Deku versus Todoroki. As Deku heads out to meet his enemy, however, he's met by Endeavor, but simply walks past him when the hero says he has something to talk about. "Screw off, Flamehead, I don't care about your family history." "You're pretty gutsy considering who you're talking to," said Endeavor. Deku then came to a stop as he turns, saying, "No matter how much higher you are as a hero, I will overwhelm you if you get in my way." Endeavor is put off by how driven this kid is, and will simply smile because he does not have to tell him anything. Deku was not going to play around, he was going to try and destroy Todoroki, clearly. Deku meanwhile walks out to the stage and hears the voices get louder and louder as he and Todoroki meet each other, and he begins to stretch. "Like I said, you better use your fire." Todoroki says he will never do that, just as President Mike says to begin, and instantly, Deku bursts with Chakra as he blitzes Todoroki, who freezes his legs, but Deku then rips his way through before then kicking him in the face. Todoroki is sent flying, forcing him to make a wall of ice to stop himself before he then releases a massive iceberg at Deku, who ups his time and appears beside Todoroki and punches him right in the ribs. "Right now, Midoriya is dominating. Will Shoto be able to get past that overwhelming gap in speed and power?" said President Mike. As Deku barrages him with punch after punch, he's completely frozen, allowing Todoroki to just run away, and Deku would then appear in front of him after breaking out of the ice with a terrifying smile on his face. "Use your fire, damn it," he says. He grabbed him by the face and sends him to the ground. Todoroki would then go to touch him, but he quickly pulls away and then stomps him in the stomach, with all those present being in awe of Deku's battle instincts. President Mike inquires about this to Aizawa, who says that Midoriya has shown to be able to accelerate his brain processing. That combined with his Jogan makes it impossible for him to lose in fights, said Aizawa. If he wants to win, Todoroki will have to use his ice. But even then, that may not be enough. Deku keeps the upper hand while he batters Todoroki all around until he stops to save power. He'd be sweating bullets, and Todoroki notices as he stomps and releases another wave of ice, but instead of moving, Deku claps his hands and releases vector lines to the ground. And as they would envelop the ice, and when they reach him, instantly the ice would be rewinded as everyone watches it go back in time until it shatters in front of Todoroki. And it was bizarre to watch, but everyone leapt out of their seats at seeing this. "He can reverse time for attacks now," said Mineta. "That's OP!" Bakugo was unnerved to see this because it meant his explosions would be meaningless, and Todoroki realized that Deku had overtaken him completely in one move. Deku would then be, just jumping around, and he proceeded to say, "Quirks are more physical than you think, Shoto. I don't give a damn about your past. You better not disrespect me. Everyone here, including me, is trying their best to become a hero. You're not the main character of some story." Todoroki says to shut up as he waves his hand, but Deku then appears in front of him and grabs his hand, reversing his activation before then yelling, "Use your fire before I kick your ass into the dirt. It's yours, isn't it?" Todoroki and everyone felt a chill run down their spine from these words, as Todoroki then explodes with flames, which would push back Deku and surprise everyone, and Endeavor was just having a field day. His cries of joy would be heard by everyone, just as Todoroki would say, "Man, you're annoying, Midoriya." "Yeah, well, you're not gonna beat me with some stupid results," said Deku, as he then bursts with Chakra and it becomes much more pure, and from home, Inko would squeal like a fangirl when he charges forward. Todoroki did as well, and though everyone was screaming, for the two, it was as if everything became silent, and Todoroki would smile right before they clash. A bright flash would blind everyone just as Deku was pushed back a bit, but Todoroki is sent flying off the stage and slams into the stadium walls. "I win," says Deku. Todoroki slides to the floor and his head would thud to the ground as he would be called, but he'd be checked on by the medics, And Deku was just being cheered on. He said, yeah, I just did that. And he would just be like, hyping himself up. And Deku was reveling on all of this, but all the heroes were seriously thinking about how overpowered such a move like that is, especially considering he managed to stop Todoroki's activation. That's really powerful. Todoroki was taken away, but looked more relieved to say the least, as he whispered a thanks to Midoriya, though he could not hear it. As brutally honest and arrogant as Deku was, that is why Todoroki was able to get past his mental barrier, and for that he owes him. Deku would then make his way back to the stands as he meets up with everyone who say that was amazing, and the surrounding heroes would clap for him as he bowed. You're welcome, you're welcome. Hiroshima, it's you next, right? You're fighting Bakugo. Hiroshima stands saying that he would give him hell, with Bakugo standing up as he said not to get full of himself, and he walked past him and Deku. Don't underestimate me, Deku. My name is Izuku, you idiot. He then leaves as Hiroshima follows, while Deku takes a seat and he breathes out, breathes in and out, letting his tired body rest, because rewinding Todoroki, everything about him was really hard. Everyone then watched as the next fight began, and soon Bakugo quickly finished his fight, leaving only 4 people left. Deku would fight Ida and win, Bakugo fought Tokoyami and won, and then the two came in for their final fight. Both get warmed up and calmed their nerves while President Mike would speak. We have Bakugo Katsuki from the Hero Department, who can secrete nitroglycerin and detonate it. We have Izuku Midoriya, who can accelerate time and, as of recently, rewind it. We don't know just how much he's gonna do or how he's gonna progress, but let's start. Midnight then swipes down with her whip, and Bakugo rushes, but is met by Deku's fist to his face, but he actually dodges it, as he said that Deku is only limited to his right hand. I've gotten used to it, he said, before then throwing an explosion at his face, and it actually hits because Deku's eye is currently a bit weak. But he counters with a punch to Bakugo's stomach, only to be grabbed before Bakugo then headbutts him, and they both grunt in pain. They are then blown back before attacking ruthlessly and leaving everyone on the edge of their seat, and they go back and forth as Bakugo is aware that normally he wouldn't be able to even hit Deku, but this is a special case. A win is a win, we're both exhausted. He has no whining to do, thought Bakugo as he threw an explosion at Deku, blinding him, but he also used this to force himself into the air, and he then started to fall down while spinning around with his explosions until he came down with a howitzer impact, which craters Deku into the ground. He would then hold his hand over Deku as he punched and continued to punch him with the ground on his face, and people would actually believe yo, this kid is about to win. He might actually win. But then Deku would smile, his eyes would glint and just release this little flash, and Bakugo becomes just frozen as Deku would yell, Jogan, Mind Lock. A shockwave releases as Bakugo would be blown back and his eyes go blank right before Deku then gets up, grabs him, and brings all the power into his right hand before then throwing him. He would crash right into the grass, and whatever Deku did to him would be cancelled, as Bakugo would then get confused and angry while Deku is announced the winner, but much like everyone, they're confused as to what is happening, so Midnight goes to give Deku a mic to explain. While medics come to Bakugo, he says to leave him alone as he tries to listen. He would say, he looked into my eye and I froze his mind. He literally couldn't think, all his motor functions stopped. That is amazing, thought Midnight. You froze my freaking brain, screamed Bakugo. Deku would then nod, saying that was a good match, and he started to leave, all boss-like, while he's announced, the winner of the entire competition. And he has flabbergasted everyone with his evolving powers. But this is when the headaches start to get to him, and Nico watches as from her couch, he begins to fall through her TV. She sees that he is falling, and he would thud to the ground. The medics quickly run to him instead, and see that he was bleeding immensely from his nose, but yet he was smiling. Quickly, they get him up and on the stretcher, and Midnight says everything is going to be okay. He simply reached his limit, folks. He'll be fine. Inko would breathe a sigh of relief at hearing this, and he'd be whisked away. But in the end, he won anyway, so yeah. But he also showed that though he was acting arrogant, he was still wearing himself out. He was pushing himself to his limits. He just wanted to win that badly. A few minutes later, he wakes up and sees the 1A class waiting along with Recovery Girl for him, and he would say, even you came, huh, Todoroki? What are you doing here? He looks to Bakugo, who tells Todoroki to shut up. You might have beaten me, but you got knocked out too. Don't get on your high horse. Deku would say he would give him that for now, but he asked the others why they're here, and they want to check on if he's okay, and he's a sociopath, doesn't freaking realize that they wanted that, and he thanks them for coming. He legit does. And they ask if his brain is okay, because they said he had a little problem, but he said he's been experiencing it for years. It just calms down after a while, and he would then sit up out of bed as Recovery Girl said he unfortunately missed the ceremony. But I got your medal right here. She brings it out and hangs it on his neck, and she begins to clap, as does everyone, even Bakugo and Todoroki, making him a bit embarrassed, but that's his own little ceremony. They would then go back to class, where they are dismissed and allowed to take a break, and as soon as Deku gets home, he would fall onto his couch with complete exhaustion, as Inko runs over saying he was awesome. I know, Mom, but also can you speak a little quieter? Apologizing, she says she's going to get some ice cream for him, and he says that would be very much appreciated, and she goes to the kitchen. He turns and looks at his hand as he clenches it and smiles because he has gotten one step further and gotten even stronger. After this, he eats some ice cream, Inko brings over, and they go take a walk, and the headache would pass, and the next day is off, spent with him working on like rehabilitating himself and just regaining his energy. He and everyone then return to class a day after and are told by Aizawa of the internships, but before they went any further, they had to pick hero names. This made the class explode with laughter, excitement, but as he cheers, Deku notices something. Ida was cheering, but something seemed off. It's probably nothing, he thought. They then settled down as Aizawa calls it midnight and she walks in saying she was going to help them, but before that they had to see the nominations. The result of the nominations are shown on the board, leaving some baffled at the huge difference. Deku had 6,000 people wanting him, Bakugo had 4,000, Todoroki had 3,000, and Tokuyami had 500 in this timeline. Heroes are harsh, said Ojiro, but they're also correct to choose this way, said Momo. Deku would be grinning, saying this is gonna be awesome, and Midnight would say that they honestly have never seen such a wide gap before. It's probably because Midoriya showed that new part of his quirk. With that you could do like so much, said Mineta. And that's why I'm awesome, said Deku. And here we thought you were gonna humble yourself a little, said Kaminari, but Deku says why mess with perfection? And his attitude is something that Midnight actually loves, and she finds it hilarious as well. She then passed some boards as everyone came up, chose their names. Deku chose the name Kronos, God of Time. Praise me, said Deku. Oh, get off your high horse, said Bakugo, as Deku would yell never. And as he continued to laugh, Midnight would then say that she actually does like it and the arrogance helps. If you want to sell these names, you have to accompany them with a certain flair. It's okay to go a little bit overboard. I said praise me, said Deku. Okay, just not that overboard, said Midnight. She then has Deku go back and sit down and calm the hell down. And many more take aspiration from Deku's ego to embody themselves, and they really put down their names as something that represents them instead of just seeing it as a name. But Ida just calls himself Ida due to his slight depression right now and loss of confidence. Soon they then are left with some papers with some heroes on them for them to choose. So as time comes for lunch, they take a little time, talk about their choices. And Uraraka says that she wants to go with Gunhead. They're still in classroom right now. They're about to go to lunch. And she says that being good at hand-to-hand combat is very useful. Maybe you could teach me a few moves, she said. Deku then thinks about it and shrugs his shoulders, saying, why not? Really? Awesome. Again, it's really not that big of a deal, said Deku. However, Uraraka says that he usually just doesn't give advice, like he focuses on himself. And Deku says, of course, you gotta be strong, you gotta focus on yourself first, but I'll make an exception for you since you're a close friend. Uraraka would smile and blush as Deku then asks Ida if he would like to join because he has like a local gem they can use, but he says it's alright. I'd much rather focus on my engines. Excuse me. He then goes on ahead and Uraraka notices and says that something is wrong, and then Deku starts to notice it as well now that she points it out. We then cut to the end of school as when Deku is leaving, he's actually met by All Might, who would say, hello young Midoriya, have you chosen a hero yet? No, why? You got something? Actually, someone perfect for you, Sir Jiraiya. He hands him a paper containing the former hero's address, saying that he could help him control that energy he had. He's trained many with similar emitter types. Deku is interested and says that, especially since it's coming from All Might, he trusts that, and so he thanks him and walks off as All Might goes the other way. The next day, quickly, the students gather at the train station, and after going their separate ways, they go find their heroes supposed to be at, and Deku takes the train for about an hour and makes it to his destination as he would approach the woods, and then he sees a house. It looked very Japanese and traditional, big, and he said, this guy's got taste. But as he approached and reached for the door, it would then be open and it would hit him. But Jiraiya then coming out, he would have long white hair and he would say, not fast enough, kid. And he would giggle when Deku then began to rage and turn on his Jogan. But Jiraiya says to calm down. It's not my fault you couldn't react. Don't you want to get stronger? Trust my method. What method, you old geezer? Said Deku. Jiraiya then says to step inside and that he will see. And though something about this angers Deku, he does, and he enters. The home is very spacious, very nice. But in the corner, he then saw some magazines, and he said, seriously, man, it's like the 21st century. Why? Walking to the magazines, Jiraiya would pick them up, saying that it's good to appreciate the classics, and he would then take a seat right before Deku and ask him to release that aura. Now Deku smiled and was getting excited because they're about to start training, and he took off his backpack, put down his suitcase as he proceeds to start yelling, and he explodes with the energy. But Jiraiya says he's doing it all wrong. Kid, why are you screaming? What do you mean, why? It's hard. Jiraiya would then stand and walk up to him as he points to Deku's stomach and tells him to close his eyes. Deku would do so, and Jiraiya tells him to imagine a pool at the pit of his stomach, but to think of his veins in his body as tubes distributing that water evenly through him. And as Deku began to envision this, his energy started to flow better and less aggressively, so he stopped yelling until Jiraiya backs off and smiles. Now doesn't that feel better? Deku slowly opens his eyes, and both his eyes will now have the Jogan, and he feels amazing, and he notices the change. He knows he has both Jogan in both eyes, and he says it doesn't hurt anymore. How'd you know? Jiraiya says he's an old-fashioned guy. I call what you use chakra, chi, ki, whatever. It's spiritual energy, certain terms. Chakra. Yeah, I'll use that. Well, what are you doing? He then saw Jiraiya reading the magazines, and his master said to calm down. You gotta keep using your energy. Keep it flowing like that first. Deku then says he sees no reason for it, but as he takes a step forward, the energy will violently backlash and he falls over in pain, as Jiraiya laughs, saying that he should have listened to him, and Deku says to shut up. But he respected that Jiraiya knew what he was doing, and he would work on controlling his chakra for about 2 days, and on the 3rd day, Jiraiya decided to spar with the boy. Deku would be in a hero costume, while Jiraiya was in, pajamas, and he said to attack. You brought me out to a forest, you're wearing pajamas, and you want me to attack? Jiraiya would then clap his hands together as a giant poof is heard and a puff of smoke appears, and when the smoke clears, Deku sees he's sitting atop a giant toad, and the toad would speak, saying, another brat. Never mind. This is awesome, said Deku as he burst her chakra and speeds himself up, and he leapt towards the toad and punched it right on the forehead, but it caused no damage, just as Jiraiya then drop kicked him from above and, hit him right into the ground. He then instantly backs away and he's smiling, with Jiraiya then telling him to, come again, because Gamabunta likes a good challenge. About the toad is name. At least this one seems to have more potential, said Gamabunta. Yeah, you won't be talking to me like that for too long. I learned a trick, says Deku, and he will close his eyes and become enveloped by chakra, and he takes on a neon turquoise-like color, but also has the consistency of flames now. His Jogan gleamed as his hair rose and changed color as well, and his entire body would just start to change, and he would then punch the air, releasing what he would call a time shock. Jiraiya would then barely move out of the way as Gamabunta is hit and sent flying before he crashes into the forest, and Jiraiya is wide-eyed as he looks back to Naruto and puts a thumbs up. Damn, kid. See, I told you. I don't even feel tired, he said. Well, that's probably because you didn't know how to control your chakra until now. You have to keep in mind that your eyes are connected to your brain. When your chakra isn't well regulated, I get headaches, said Deku. I'm so stupid, but I'm still so awesome though. Jiraiya is surprised he can prop himself up while insulting himself at the same time, and he then yells for Gamabunta, asking if he was okay, and the toad would say that he was gonna kill Deku. Go right ahead and try, said Deku. I'll beat you into the ground. Gamabunta would then leap into the air as he started barreling towards Deku, while Jiraiya would yell in horror, saying that he would destroy their home. And that day, Gamabunta would fight Deku over and over, but he noticed that Deku noticed that Jiraiya wasn't using the toad to its full potential. Regardless, he harnessed his abilities, made use of the cloak, made him more efficient, and he no longer got massive headaches, so it let him do much more. And Jiraiya then took him to Hosu on the 4th day. But I will end this off here. And this is the end of this part. I hope you enjoy my little adding of literally just making Jiraiya come into the MHA world and have a little bit of fun with it, but it is Jiraiya. He will have to die, which kind of sucks. If I find a way to keep him alive, I will, but hey, it's the best I can do for now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, all of that, blah, blah, blah. You will get the next part tomorrow. Peace. This ain't what you want, bitch, I'm a fucking phenomenon.